great appreciation of all your fans. You're back, Mr. Michael Thissen.
Hello.
Welcome. And you reached out to say you wanted to talk again, which I'm always ready. I mean, the mic's always open, or whatever that means.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
The mic is always on, I guess, is a better situation.
It's on, and, I don't have to tell, complete stories about, where bodies are buried or anything.
No. I mean, that's our after hours podcast.
Yeah, that'll get edited out.
Yeah, that'll get. Yeah, I save those for a special occasion whenever I'm gonna burn the bridges.
Or save those for when people do gather for your big gathering, because I think you're onto something. I think we do need to have a celebration of podcast again.
Yeah, so. There's enough podcasts going on, and people just generally like them. So we'll do that soon. We'll do like a Tech on Tap thing or something.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
But I'm here to talk about talent.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about our workforce and in our region. And when I say region, I'm talking about Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois. When we look at our entire labor shed, we share the same labor shed. We have the same industries. I'm going to focus more on advanced manufacturing, some supply chain, automotive, pieces like that. But I just want to sort of talk a little bit, and I appreciate you inviting me back on to talk about maybe some hardcore realities as far as our our workforce in our region, and then some of the solutions-oriented programming programs and products that have been developed in the past 2 or 3 years. There's a lot of short-term pieces to this, but the idea is that we create ourselves a great sense of workforce space and place, including in the communities throughout, that really, some of these results we're not going to know until long term.
Sure.
There's a short-term piece and a long-term piece, and that's where since 2013 the quarterly brain power meeting has been meeting.
Okay.
Like I said, every quarter, where post-secondary education, even K through 12, community and business and industry come together quarterly.
Okay.
So we always have representatives from those agencies. It's actually kind of cool because it's really one of the rare places or time points where you get all of our post-secondary education institutions in the room at the same time to talk about our workforce and talk about our future of workforce. And when we look at even our pre-K kids, our kindergartners, we're looking at what are the jobs for kids that we don't even know exist yet.
Right.
As they go through and become more technologically advanced, the speed of change is increasing, along with an aging workforce, and how do we transition that, and then how businesses and industries are continuously innovating and bringing in more automation to it. So I just kind of want to have a conversation, if you're okay with, about where some of the reality of where we're at and what we're doing about it, and some of the optimistic pieces of where I think we're at in the region.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you want me to start. So.
Oh gosh. Well, I guess so. Like some of the players in this, I mean, like some of the bigger, other than the post-secondary, like the universities in town, but then there's also like businesses.
Yeah, there's been a lot of business engagement. One of the things I credit is the Work One Southwest. That's headed up by Jim Heck. He's the executive director for the region. It's a 9-county region in Southwest Indiana. Covers Du Bois, Perry on west, captures Pike and Knox.
Okay.
And then in terms of the other piece of an extended footprint with brainpower, we do capture with the I-69 Innovation Corridor, so the Davies, the Martins. We've gotten a little more revitalization in the northern part, so Davies, Martin, Greene, Monroe County is engaged, sort of that Crane region, because they're trying to figure it out too. And the idea of I-69 opening really from Evansville to Bloomington now, it's really allowing a lot of connectivity between our Bloomington leadership, our Evansville leadership, the Med Center is coming, or the medical school, and the advancements with that is a really good sign of, okay, we've got a lot of this stuff churning, a lot of business development churning. Our industries are engaged, or most of our industries are engaged. Where do we have the workforce to, hire and bring qualified people online? So I'm going to scare a few people with a couple of statistics.
Sweet.
And then
we're waiting for people to come on here and scare people.
Here we go, because that's what I do. I scare people, and then I bring them back.
All right.
According to the Department of Workforce Development, and I'm talking about just our Work One region, this 9-county region in Southwest Indiana, there are 20,000 people that are of working age, between ages 18 and 65, that do not have a high school diploma.
Okay.
The rate of people dropping out of high school is higher than the rate of people getting GEDs or equivalency diplomas. So that gap is widening. All right. So there's a basic pain point there that is really putting a lot of pressure on Work One and other nonprofits to help people get credentials and getting some certification so that they can get into the workforce and work.
Is that what, Work One, just as a brief thing, is that what their goal is to get people jobs in the area?
Yes, it's getting it's getting people to work.
Right.
That's the number one. At least I think that's the number one goal. One of the strengths that this particular Work One has is that they're innovative enough to look at the holistic piece of the workforce. So they're mandated to look at certifications and technical education. That's pretty much the mandate.
Okay.
But they've also got enough capacity to look at our knowledge base, or getting people to level up. Into if someone really wants to work, there's opportunities, and there's actually free opportunities to steer people into the right career path.
Sure.
Just recently, Work One and USI and the Indiana Youth Institute did a regional career pathway event where 120 educators from our region, K through 12 educators, came, and they really listened to some of the things and the best practices from industry to educate the teachers and the counselors about career pathways. And the language needs to shift. And again, this is more opinion, but from what I've been working with Work One in the past 3.5 years and beyond, the language kind of needs to shift. There's a lot of pressure for kids to go to college.
Yeah.
That pressure really needs to add another word to it, and that's career. It's more about career pathways and not necessarily college pathways. I say that with a degree of love because, I think that there's a lot of folks that can and will go to college. I think our 4 years are in our region and beyond are well suited to capture folks that are ready to go to college. But if you have someone in junior high or high school that are looking at wanting or excited about doing a trade or doing more into advanced manufacturing, there's certifications, there's associate's degrees with Ivy Tech and Vincennes, there's credentials, that the credentialing program, there's the trades. When we look at trades, we see that the trades of today in that workforce is dwindling. And so it takes you much longer to get a plumber or an electrician.
Sure, yeah.
There are kids that would love to do that, and they don't have to go into debt to do it necessarily because the trades are there. So we always need those jobs. It's how do we not choose, but how do we look at our K through 12 world or even our pre-K through 12 world and figure out a way on how to capture on what they're passionate about and then steer them to the right career pathway. Yeah,
because things are changing so fast that, just the jobs are going away. And I know I don't know how much you're familiar with this concept of universal income, basic income and stuff.
Yes.
I know that's been floated around by some of the technology people saying that just basically all the, in dumbing it, incredibly dumbing it down, but like all the robots are taking our jobs. So we're just going to need some sort of basic income. Do you even think have any opinion on that kind of stuff?
I could see that as a reality. The current reality is that, when you look at advanced manufacturing and when we really look at the family unit, mom and dad, it's more, okay, let's look at our current modern advanced manufacturing. We're built in Southwest Indiana in that sector, automotive, advanced manufacturing. We are so good. We are so good at creating an idea, getting it to market, building it, mass producing it, and moving it. I maintain this is the third podcast I've had with you, and every time on this podcast, you know what I lift up? Yep. I lift up the Port of Indiana over Mount Vernon. They continuously break records. They continuously export half of Indiana's products. out that port,
Yeah.
and it's an amazing asset. Our airport is another amazing asset, and that goes part and parcel to how we look at the whole ecosystem in terms of innovation, and in terms of talent, and in terms of entrepreneurship. You brought up the folks in the in the tech world.
Yeah.
They're not off base, because when you do a basic income, it might allow for training. It might allow for entrepreneurship. It's basically what you're going to do with that basic income.
Right.
And does that address, will that be a reality now? Not sure. I don't think it would be at this point. So it's like, okay, what are we doing now?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
to make it work.
Because I started seeing more that I know that Zuckerberg and I think even Elon Musk has mentioned it here recently. It's just, so who knows? But yeah, we're far off from that. So for what we can do right now, this is where you're talking.
Sure.
There's plenty of opportunities for some sort of education, whether it's traditional college or certification.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of opportunities, but I'm going to also bring even deeper into a darker hole with, okay.
We're not out yet.
We're not out of the woods yet, kids.
Sorry.
No way. So run with me, if you will. And I know this is a podcast, but I'm kind of making a circle with my hand. But
people love that.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle piece, and we have to figure out a way how to break the cycle. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the 20,000 people, the 10,000 jobs that are open. Did I mention that? There are 10,000 job openings.
Okay.
There are 10,000 job openings in Southwest Indiana. Even if we train people and give them the credentials and certifications that we need for today, there's still going to be job openings.
Right.
There's still going to be some issues with certain sectors that basically cannibalize each other's workforce. Someone can go to work to company A for 2 weeks, collect a paycheck, and they can easily go to company B.
Sure.
Because companies need those workers. And so even if you fill all your jobs with people here with our current population, we're still going to have job openings. That creates another issue, a talent attraction issue. How do we bring in talent? Quality of place.
Right.
And so we got to figure out how we create a more attractive place. And the one thing that I'm really, really happy to see, and I'm a huge cheerleader of this, is that when you look at Evansville, which is our economic engine in our region, and you look at other economic engines, like a huge carburetor over in DuBois County, Evansville getting the regional cities designation, the Promise Zone designation, right. With Huntingburg and Princeton getting Stellar Communities designation. There's a real community effort. Leadership Evansville's Voice project. That's what we're doing, is we're telling ourselves as communities that we're the one we've been waiting for. It's not someone coming in with a golden, checkbook. It's saying, hey, look, citizens, we are the one we've been waiting for. And when we start harmonizing that as a region, that's when we start looking at creating that quality of place, that talent attraction piece that want to attract those people that are of working age, particularly millennials. I'll be frank, millennials, 20, 30-somethings to come raise their families here. Safe. It's a safe space all throughout the Southwest Indiana, Western Kentucky place. There's great things to do. I think all the communities are working very hard to create that synergy to where it makes it a more attractive place. You can't go out on a weekend in Evansville without knowing there's always something to do. I mean, if you think you're bored on a weekend, then, I don't know.
I've said before, if you're bored, you're boring.
Yeah. There's lots to do. There's lots to do. And, and there's also, and I'm going to touch the third rail of something. Too often we've been too modest in our celebration of the good things that we're at. I think it's a Midwestern thing. I don't think it's believe me, I've got a lot of experience in the Midwest. I've come from the state doing a lot of this work. We're really, really we have a terrible time tooting our horn. And I think now's a great time to toot our horn. We have done so much incredible work. Last week I was in Fort Wayne, and I went to Fort Wayne about 15 years ago, and to see the transformation of Fort Wayne's downtown and the continued transformation, because they got regional cities too, and the projects that are working up there and the projects that are working here. I mean, we're really stoked for great, attractive places for young people to come and work. and raise a family. So I'm confident that the talent pipeline will be there because there are people here, including our leadership, that's working hard to create that quality of place. We also are looking with what Jim is doing with Work One is how do we grow our own, because we still need to grow our own. We have a lot of issues out there, too many to talk about in this podcast. But when I talk about specific talent, there are specific things that we've been able to do to help boost that capacity. And it really is getting into the K through 12 world and getting to understand, what the teachers and counselors are going through and what the students are going through. And then how do we connect the students, the teachers, the counselors, and their families to the business and industries to make folks realize that we have great jobs here in this region, great paying jobs in this region, especially in advanced manufacturing. It's no longer a dirty, factory that you see, from a Dickensian kind of story.
Sure. Yeah.
These are, they need kids to get certifications to fix the robots, to automate the robots, to do quality control and check. There's always that human element to it. It's very those are the opportunities that are there in our region, and so that's kind of what I came here to sort of say, and what Brainpower has been doing in collaboration with those post-secondary education institutions and the business and industries. Work One is governed by a regional workforce investment board, so it's representatives from companies. Usually, it's human resource directors from companies in the 9-county region that help Work One. Guide Work One in that, what we can do to have better deliverables for those companies to hire good quality workers.
So other than the manufacturing, what are the main areas of employment? It's a healthcare, education. Is that what
absolutely. It is? When you look at sort of the top clusters, and I'll set a disclaimer. I'm pretty sure. I might get one or two of these wrong, so I'm sure you'll have somebody
stop you in the street and complain
you're
to you
wrong.
Directly to you.
So,
yes,
advanced manufacturing is huge, and I loop automotive with that, especially the supply chain, because when we have a Toyota here, we overlook the fact that Indiana has 3 major car manufacturers: Toyota, Honda, and Subaru in Indiana, and there are a lot of suppliers to that. They don't have all the parts in the big manufacturing places. They actually deliver the parts from other ones. So that's that. And then when you look at our knowledge pipeline, yes, healthcare, life sciences, that is huge here. It's not as might not be as well advertised, but there's a lot of research and development in the healthcare field here in Evansville and beyond. Even medical device. Now, it's not as prolific as, say, like a Warsaw, Indiana, which has the orthopedics and the prosthetics, and
sure.
They're big on medical device up there. But when you go up to Warsaw and you do some comparative analysis, you'll see that Warsaw has a lot of quality of place because they need those quality of place for those, for those technicians and those PhDs to do that research and development. That's what Evansville has been creating. I know that I know there's been some trips to Grand Rapids or Greenville, South Carolina. Those trips are great because you can establish some baselines. You could do some best practices, some lessons learned. Yeah. From what I understand, the Greenville trip was very eye-opening in terms of human capital. That it takes really everyone, E is for everyone that really can lift up our community. And when you look at things like that, life sciences is huge. Logistics, we can credit I-69 for an even leveling up of the logistics field. That's always a fun one, especially when you look at, if you're really good at math and geography, get a logistics job. There's plenty of them out there.
Yeah.
Engineering, when you look at our infrastructure, I know from the federal piece to the state piece, we're investing a lot in our infrastructure. INDOT is really looking for a lot of people to work for them, especially in this region, the Southwest Indiana region.
Yeah.
So the main regional office is up in Vincennes, but there's a lot of substations, one in Evansville there on North 41. There's one over in Jasper and in Paoli. There's lots of, if I'm looking at it right, there are INDOT jobs. There's state jobs for folks to really get into that piece. If you like to drive, get a CDL and drive for a lot of people or a lot of companies. They're always looking for that. So, when you say those kind of industries, I'm generalizing the advanced manufacturing piece.
No, I hear a lot about, maybe just because the tech on tap stuff, I guess. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But the advanced manufacturing stuff, and then it's sort of the applied was it the Applied Engineering building out at
the Applied
USI?
Engineering Center.
Yeah, which is great.
It's fantastic.
And
I mean,
I would recommend if anyone's able to go check it out, just to know that that kind of thing is happening in the area. But yeah, I hear manufacturing a lot and like plastics and that kind of thing. But yeah, I was always wondering what other things we have going on here. So.
Well, there's plastics. There's also metal. We have a lot of metal and recycled metal in our region. And I'm talking about Kentucky too now. I mean, we're talking about sharing the same labor shed. The reason why we hear a lot about plastics is because Evansville really is the plastics capital. And when you look at Posey County, like Sabic, I mean, they make the plastics that they make is really worldwide. And to have an asset like Sabic here is dovetails really well with our plastics industry. I mentioned metals, wood products. When you go over to DuBois County, and I'm not going to get into the whole location quotient and the data or the statistic, because I don't want to. I probably already turned off half of your audience already with some of this, but DuBois County is incredibly. There's very, very high on wood products in terms of furniture. If you go to a major hotel chain, you will be sitting on a Kimball or an OFS product, Master Brand cabinets. And I don't know if we ever track the headlines, but Master Brand has had at least 2, if not 3, announcements over the past 2 years about their expansion. They keep expanding.
Yeah,
they have job openings. Yeah, Kimball International and Kimball Electronics. Kimball's a very diverse company. They do medical device. You can't drive most of the cars that we drive. There's a Kimball electronic component somewhere in that car. I mean, but one of their main outputs is office furniture or hotel furniture. Right. They're dying for jobs, for job openings. Same thing with OFS. That's in Huntingburg. Same kind of company. They do wood products and they're and office products and they can always use some good talent there. Because when I look at talent, I believe that every single human being, whether our region or not, always they have a talent. There's just some innate talent that they have, whether it's for good or evil, or whether they do something with their hands or their brains. They have some talent. How do we capitalize on what they're passionate about and what they're talented at, and then deploy them into our workforce and build that capacity? And I speak in general sense, in generalities, but I do know that when you look at, say, like the Chronicle for Higher Education or some of the more national trends in 4-year colleges, you often get a cross-section of students that enter as a freshman and they're clearly not prepared for college. Yeah. And it really it taxes the system. More to the point, it taxes the college professor because they have to teach or they have to go into some kind of remediation all the time. All the while, there's pressure to get them out and up and out. Yeah. And then there's the dropout rate because that hurts your metrics. There's some human element into that. I do know that USI has done an incredible job they have done an incredible job doing. They've done a 1 credit hour course for all incoming students. Is basically teaching them how to be a college student and study habits and things like that. So I know that there's ways to address that, and I know that there's some other schools. I think Wabash College up north, they do an appreciative inquiry class, and it really every incoming student has to go and basically be taught how to be a student. And even if you already know how to be a student, it's good to have that anyway. And so I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but
it's good to know that. That's smart, actually. I like that idea because it's good to know what your expectations are.
Sure. And then for those who clearly are not wanting to go to college, but are being pressured to go into college, a conversation needs to be had. Right. How does that work? So with the Work One team and the Brain Power and the I-69 Innovation Corridor pieces, they've been able to develop some programs with that. And that couples with industry. So for instance, I don't know if you've heard of the Teacher and Counselor Boot Camp. The Manufacturers Boot Camp. This is our 3rd year, I think, doing it. It started with 4 major industries. It's actually the Alcoa Teachers Manufacturers Boot Camp. Alcoa supplies dollars and resources, and it's Alcoa, Toyota, Berry Global, and Sabic Innovative Plastics over in Posey. So 4 counties. And what they've done in the past 2 or 3 years, and they've just finished up this summer for this area, is they present an opportunity for teachers and counselors to come and learn and get ingrained in their manufacturers for 2 weeks. They pay them. They pay teachers a stipend to go through this, and then for teachers and counselors to figure out how that might work into the curricula for the kids. Mm-hmm. You know, and that translates very well. It's for some teachers, it's really eye-opening that, oh wow, we have these industries here. I didn't know we had these industries here. Yeah. And boy, you know, little Jimmy or little Sally has, you know, really good skills, potential skills for this. How do we nurture that? You know, for good, high-paying jobs, and you're not in debt.
Right. Yeah.
To be frank,
something to be said about that. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I just have an associate's degree, and I seem to have worked out.
Yeah, look at you. You know, do you really need a 4-year degree?
Medium mogul. You know?
Oh yeah. Hey, you know, mediocre minds think alike.
Exactly.
Great. So that's good. That's good.
But yeah, I know. So I always wonder about that, the whole college thing, and I know that for certain things, I absolutely want. You know, like I want my doctors going to college.
Yeah.
But then there are other things that you can do to other things. So not everybody. It's not a one size fits all model for sure.
No, sure. And the other thing that we do is we survey we engage the business and the business industry.
Yeah.
Because one of the tough nuts to crack is connecting the business and industry to the local schools. Mm-hmm. And so we survey the business and industry. What are the gaps? What are the challenges? One of the things that kind of came up was soft skills. Kids right now these days are, you know, it's more about the electronics, and, you know, I've got one that does that.
I had to teach my daughter how to leave a voicemail this last week.
Yeah.
And she was like, that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
I used to fix my dad's VCR.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My daughter now, she fixes, you know,
yeah,
stuff I can't fix.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So it's cyclical.
I had that. I swore that would never happen to me, but something did happen the other day. I won't talk about it.
Well, and actually look at trends. I mean, it is a trend because things are getting faster. We're getting younger. Sure, yeah. We got to get younger. We got to get smarter. And we look at our kids, and it's like, okay, you're very smart.
Right.
How do we capitalize on that passion? Side story. I growing up, I listened to certain music. Mm-hmm. You know, I love all kinds of music, and you know, my father, who's grew up in the 40s and 50s. You know, appreciated, you know, Montevani and a few other, you know, music. Right. I did a snoring sound, folks.
Yes.
You know, every time I play, you know, Led Zeppelin, The Who, or some you know, other music, he would always say, "Turn that down. Right. Turn that crap down."
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, it's, you know, and so as a kid, I was like, I'm not going to tell my kid that. When I grow up, I'm not going to be like you, Dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honey, you're going to have to turn that down because I don't know what that is, but I know I don't like it.
Like, turn that garbage off, I believe. I've said that phrase a few times.
You know, but now I do find myself liking the majority of what she listens to because I like to be more universal in my musical taste.
I try to be. There's certain genres I just can't do.
Yeah, but, it's like, girl, I'm sorry, no,
I can't do that. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, my oldest has discovered the more classic rock, classic being whenever I was listening, so that makes me feel weird. But
I think she'd feel proud because I've got my kid now totally tuned into the Beatles.
Oh yeah,
I mean she's very much into the Beatles and some of that stuff. But
my daughter's listening to like Aerosmith and Foreigner. I'm confused about that one. I never liked Foreigner, so I'm like, I don't get that.
But it's a head scratcher. But I digress. But, you know, when you look at our kids and they're like, okay, you're very, you know, you're listening to certain genres of music. Do our kids do music lessons? Do our kids do choral lessons? Do they play guitar? Do they have acting lessons? Are there things over the summer that kids do and participate that might help them steer their ways into a career?
Right.
You know,
it's not just sports.
Yeah.
Because we're very sports heavy.
We are.
In this area, which is fine.
Nothing too wrong with it, but, you know, it's very, very isolated.
Right.
You know,
I mean, they're you know, the thing is everybody's like, oh, you got to be on a team because it teaches you life lessons and everything. And that's true. I totally believe that. But there are other things that teach life lessons that maybe we could
absolutely
have access
to.
to.
It's not a discounting of the sports piece because I think it's harmonious with those who go to band camp or those that go to
everything.
Yeah,
Because how are you going to know what you like if you don't try?
Exactly.
All these things.
For instance, Wesselman Woods and Angel Mounds, the Y, they all have these summer camps. USI has a great summer camp, and it gets kids outside. It gets kids wondering about. I think it gets them kind of grounded for wondering about what they want to be when they grow up. There's a lot of times my daughter comes home and says, I wouldn't mind being a ranger. That's a great career. Do you know what the skills you need to be a ranger?
Right. I don't.
Do you know how competitive it is to be a ranger? But that's great. You should go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
like, let's look into it.
Exactly. Okay, I want to be a basketball player. Okay, great. You want to be a basketball player. Let's see. You're 12 now and you're 4'8". Do you think you're going to grow?
Right.
But let's get you to noodle a little bit on that. Okay. Do you love basketball? Do you love to play basketball? That's great if you love to play. But there's a lot of careers in the sports field.
There's a lot.
There's sports trainers. You could be an orthopedic. You could be an X-ray technician. If you can even be, you can even work on a team. And there's a lot of ancillary thoughts to what a career path can mean. I mean, the idea of working 30 years in a factory is no more. I'm proof positive of that. I think I've got about 27 different jobs in the past.
Right. And that used to be a bad sign for somebody, right? But then now it's like, if you're not moving around, you're like, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or, you have this big gap.
My current employer should probably not listen to this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. The opinions expressed here on this podcast are those of Jason Burton and Mike Thissen.
I don't know who was talking there just now.
We love our employers, kids.
Oh, yeah. No, they're great. No, I think that's, even they would admit that, that it's a more rapid turnover. I mean, companies are less loyal to an extent. So, around here, it's a little different than it is nationally, but
sure,
still, it's becoming more of I think we're probably more going to be a free agent market here in the next decade or so. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah,
with that.
It's actually, and we get into this sort of the science and technology field. I was at a conference last summer in the science and technology field, and they're now calling this part the 1099 economy.
That makes total sense.
It's what it is. It's the 1099 economy.
Everybody's a contractor basically. You just move around and do your thing. And it's beneficial for businesses because they don't necessarily, it's the benefit piece. Oh yeah.
And it truly is kind of this free agent piece. I'm learning it as I go along, as I go. But
maybe in the software industry, software developers, I see a lot of that where people are moving,
right?
Like within months, not even years at this point. It's like a couple, they're there for 6 months and they're out to the next thing.
Right. And then when you look at how, with a lot of businesses and industries, it's now about metrics. It's about, results that are data driven and tangible driven. That's great. Yep. To me, I think, 80-85% of that should be that. But I think too often we get so bogged down in that whole data driven and the whole metric driven piece to where that goes to 100%, 110%. We have to be absolutely sure that we, want to try innovation or we want to hire this person. To me, there's always going to be this sort of human element, this gut kind of element that says, let's try it. Right. Let's pilot this thing and see where we go. That's what we've been doing with the talent pipeline. We've been doing best practices, but we've also been lessons learned. For instance, I think the historic district does this. You ever done a parade of homes where people open up their doors and the public comes in and looks at their beautiful houses?
Right.
We've done that with business and industry in our region. We did it for the first year for the entire region. We thought the whole region was going to participate. Right. That failed like you wouldn't believe. But now we've got it on a county by county basis. And for the most part, the local economic development representative have been organizing this. And it's been actually connecting the kids and their families to the businesses and industries in their counties. Open the door, let the kids come in and see what this is and what this means. Usually it's the high school kind of that. But I'm going to lift up Knox County, for instance. Mid-Sens is a great place to come, and they're doing some great things up there. But they've had over 400 students go through their businesses and industries in the Knox County area to show these students that, yeah, there are viable open jobs, and look how exciting it is to do X or Y. So
just take the mystery away. Of
exactly.
What to do.
But on the overall piece, getting back to this whole gut thing, we failed that miserably first time. But now that we sort of compartmentalized at least that program into a county by county piece, we're all interchangeable. So someone that gets exposed in an industry in Knox County can easily look at that industry or another industry in Gibson County, and say, there's opportunity there. I guess what I'm saying at the end of the day is that there's a lot of opportunities there, and a lot of potential to engage for all levels, even the K through 12 folks that are students. There's lots of intern opportunities and even volunteer opportunities for that. And I know you had Vistas on a couple of weeks ago. Those Vistas are going to get 1 year of valuable experience. A little bit of pay, but it's about the experience. And then even our professionals, about 3.5 years ago, we founded a chapter of the Business and Professional Exchange. So for those who are moving to the area, who have a job, maybe they're dual income, baccalaureate or higher degreed, family or household, there's a place for those folks to go too. They go to the Business and Professional Exchange and network with each other and figure out if there's some openings and some businesses and industries that are looking for professionals like that. There's a whole scope of opportunities for people who would like to work to get work, or to get the training so that they can work. And again, it's also about how do we look at our talent, and how do we best deploy our talent into growing and building capacity in our region. So that's where I'm at.
It's doing the Lord's work.
Well, no, it's well, yeah, okay, I'll say it.
Yeah, I'll say it. You can just agree. No, it's an interesting. I'm jealous of just you're able to see what's going on at that kind of level, that high level, to see the pieces kind of fit together. Whereas we're just walking around in it. You're getting the bird's eye view. Where and it's both my strength and my challenge, because a lot of people don't understand what I do and where I welcome to the club.
Well, because for me it's more what's the strategy? How do we take something and make it better, or how do we maximize what we have? And sometimes I'm really a facilitator and strategist by trade. I'm actually an archaeologist by trade, but I don't want to get into that story. That's for another podcast. Wait, you're an archaeologist? What's that all about?
Dang, breaking news.
But as a part of archaeology is under the anthropology umbrella. So I've got the cultural, the linguistic, the physical anthropology piece. But when I look at the holistic piece of the human, it's exciting. But it's also, how do we connect our human people in terms of organizations or individuals? To me, that's why I love networking, because networking is one of the greatest things you can have, because you could be seen as that resource. Oh, I've got this connection, with the state. What if I help connect somebody with the state, or just connect somebody with somebody who might have a resource to help you?
Right.
And you can't put a metric on that. You can't put, other than how many touches,
business cards you have.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that's always been kind of the piece. But when you have that connectivity, you have stronger organizations, you have stronger regions, so I facilitate a lot of strategies, because what I do is I if people have, or in an organization that really needs a strategy or really needs like a plan or a vision, I can help them get to that, because I like to stay in a place where I could stay in the center, but in the box, so to speak, but get them to realize that the ideas that they're coming up are theirs.
Right.
I'm just helping them get to a physical, tangible piece of paper that says, we're going to do this. It's going to be done by who? It's going to be done by when? And then more importantly, and this is where a lot of people fall off, is what's the continuum of care, to use a healthcare term. What's the follow-up? And so a lot of times that's how businesses and organizations are stronger. So hire an anthropologist, hire me. So
there you go.
So, that wasn't shameless, right?
No, that's fine. Hey, if people want to throw money, I'll take a cut.
Yeah, sure. Well, and again, I go back to it. It's all about talent. You know,
Right.
what are your best talents, and what can you deploy your talents to do? Some of the volunteer work here in Evansville recently, I've really gotten to think about, various talents that, you could be multi-talented.
Mm-hmm.
You could be really, really smart, and guess what you're doing on Saturday? You're helping clean up the creek of shopping carts.
Yeah, exactly.
Contribute to your community. I think that's one of the biggest things you can do. Stay active.
Yep.
Things like that. So for those that are unemployed or those that are struggling to find work, my 2 cents is, get up every day and get dressed as if you're going to work. Don't stay in PJs, and really get out there and maybe do some volunteerism, maybe do some things. I do some networking in that field too.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody approaches me on that, I try to get them to a point where, okay, what are they good at, and then try to plug them into some kind of sector.
Right.
So to me, it's all about talent, and if we continue to nurture the talent that we have, if our communities, which they're doing incredible work here in Evansville and beyond, if the communities still continue that momentum of quality of place to where we can attract the talent.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be able to have a home for them here.
Yeah.
Housing is a different issue. I'm not going to get into housing today, but
well, if they want to buy my house, I have a price for that too.
Yeah. So I hope this was helpful. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Well, thanks. I appreciate
Anything else you want
in.
me to say, or
No, I think
right.
we'll save the archaeology talk for
next
time you're on.
Yeah, I got stories. I got lots of stories with that. It starts with 19 degrees below zero, but I won't go into that.
Oh man, that's a teaser right there.
Yep, there you go.
Wow.
Let's see. Mike talks about innovation, talent, and archaeology.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, I don't think we've had an episode like that before. So
that's all right. That's all right. It's good stuff.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Josh.
And I'm Corey.
I'm a professional brewer.
And I'm just some guy that drinks.
Now, I know for a fact that all of you out there listening love to eat.
And drink.
So we've got something for you. Food 812 is a suite of podcasts featuring different monthly episodes about local food and drink. We'll be sitting down with tri-state chefs, brewers, bartenders, and waitstaffs.
Or anyone out there who's had to deal with the hungry drunks of Evansville.
Find us on the Evansville Podcast Network homepage at evansvillepodcast.com. You can send us a message at food812podcast@gmail.com and subscribe on iTunes, the Google Play Store, and Stitcher Radio.
They'll keep brewing, cooking, and serving it up, and we'll see if we can't find out how they do it.
Food 812 will have monthly episodes of Evansville Over Medium, featuring Evansville chefs and food personalities, and Evansville on the Rocks, featuring Evansville bartenders and front-of-house staff.
So sit back, crack open a cold one, or top off that highball, and tune in to the latest episode from Food 812.
I've been hanging around this town.
In a world filled with pizza, one brave group will determine who is the best. Pizza Quest. For 6 weeks, these brave souls will hit 6 sides of town.
6. North side, east side, west side, Jacobsville, Newburgh, downtown.
Tasting,
It's all good.
discussing,
I think if this sat for another 10 to 15 more minutes, it'd almost be soggy.
rating,
7.
laughing, and final judging the final 8 pizzas to determine the champion of Pizza Quest. Listen on Clockwork Nights and Food 812, proud members of the Evansville Podcast Network.